This conference will now
So
be
to be
recorded.
here now talking about an exam that emphasizes all that CISP stuff, life is crazy, y'all. But just to begin this presentation, I'd like to ask both Prab and Prashant to quickly turn off your speakers so you can't hear what I'm going to say next, because I just want to talk to the audience personally at a one-on-one level. So if you guys can just close your ears and just not hear what I'm about to say, take out your headphones, whatever you need to do, real quick. This is just between me and the audience, if you don't mind. Everyone, you are in the presence of two people who define greatness. While working together and getting this presentation ready, I witnessed firsthand how they work at a professional level. We got together, we brainstormed ideas, we talked about what questions to address, how long the webinar should be, what should be the structure, the flow, what we can say and do to truly provide the audience what they are looking for. We're in different time zones. I am in East Coast Florida time, and they are in India Standard Time. So when I'm waking up nice and fully rested, these guys are just getting done with their professional workday and then jumping on a call very late in the evening. They never wavered for even 1 second. Professionals. You have Prab who's there since day one with me when I started the Facebook group in 2014. He is easily a part of the history of the Study Notes in Theory CISP exam preparation Facebook group. And and I apologize. He's not with me. He's his own entity and his own powerful force in this industry. He is an executive by day at Infosec Train. He's not just a CISP instructor. He's got employees. He's got students. He's got commerce to engage with daily. He's got marketing teams that he has to oversee. He's hiring people. He's firing people. And throughout all that, Prab is still working and making CISP content like he's just started doing this thing. And Prashant, the quiet professional
You
that
are
he
the
is,
inspiration for me, to be frank.
Prab, I mean, you don't need an inspiration. You are it. And Prashant, the quiet professional that he is, he must have ice water running down his veins because I've never seen him stressed or nervous. He has always had a positive attitude, no matter the situation. If you've watched his interviews or also being interviewed, the guy is cool, calm, and collected. But Prashant is cool, calm, and collected. But deep down, I know he is a terrifyingly calculated CISP assassin. Just remember, he is the author of the Memory Palace, as Prabh said, a free CISP document that I can personally attest took him months of hard work, multiple edits, and even to this day, he edits the book. And in the middle of that, as Prabh said again, he wrote a PDF book called Cirrus for the CISSP exam. If you flip through the pages of those books, it's just sometimes hard to imagine the amount of work that has gone into it. And he's not just copying and pasting. Everything written are his original words. It's a tremendous amount of dedication that Prashant has provided out of no self-interest of his own to the information security sector. All right, but don't tell him I said all this. I don't need them feeling too confident in their work habits. Okay, these two guys, they'll be known as two of the greatest CISP instructors to have ever lived. All right, guys, you can stop. You can start listening now. I'm done talking. I'm done talking to them. Can you
No,
guys hear me again? Prab,
thanks,
Prashant. Okay.
for this, but we are not that much known for this. Because we got our name, I personally got my identification from the same group. What we have is CISSP Exam Prep, and I believe Prashant and me got associated in the same group. So you are the web of trust for us. If I apply the CISSP concept.
Well, and here's the thing, right, guys? Like this, getting the
For us, you are
CISP.
the certificate authority.
Well, you guys having the CISP and everyone listening who has the CISP or getting it, it's not about having that after your name on the paper. I know that Prab has a CISP. I know that Prashant has a CISP. And this way, I know what they went through, the dedication, the discipline. So I know that when I work with them, they're going to have the same professionalism and discipline. I know that because they went through the same thing we did. That's what it really means, right? Like you guys understand, like that's what it really means. Everyone is here to have their questions answered about this most difficult and complex and confusing exam. You aren't sure if you should buy the new books. You aren't sure if you can still study the old books. You may be very nervous about all the new CISSP exam topics. And most importantly of all, you just want a little guidance and reassurance as whether you are prepared enough to take the exam now or wait to take the new exam. These are all valid questions that Prabh, Prashant, and I, the triumvirate, we understand that completely. We've been where you've been. And I remember Prabh saying that, he's taken the exam more than once. He had to. And I remember Prashant saying he's never wants to undergo the experience of the CISSP ever again. We get what you're going through. But let me say this. I'm
planning to write. I'm planning to
Yeah,
write this year.
you're planning to write again this year?
Yes.
Amazing.
Because I can see the difference in the change in 2015 and 2021. So I'm sure I want to write this exam this year again.
Prashant and I will watch you from afar.
Sure.
Yeah, we're not taking that again. So you guys are in the information security field. You are already working in a difficult sector of information technology. Nothing is easy about what you do. And as I've always said, you should be proud of everything you have done so far, including taking the time out of your lives to attend this webinar. You should be proud even if you haven't taken the exam, or if you've taken the exam and didn't pass the first time, or if you want to take it again. Just think about the end goal 1, 5, or 10 years from now. It's not about a job or a higher salary, or for those who I feel unfortunate for, who's being forced by their employer to take the CISSP, so it kind of makes them look good, or you have an underlying threat that if you don't get the CISSP, you won't have a job anymore. These are all temporary problems, temporary issues. The real goal is to build a discipline from the CISSP that's going to stay with you forever. Focus on the long-term achievement and not the short-term difficulties, because you will overcome all obstacles and you will overcome all difficulties just because you're attending this webinar and trying to learn more about an exam that barely any of our family or friends know. Right? It's not the end. Like this is not the end. Oh, you took the exam and you're done. It's the beginning. And when you want to accomplish it so bad and you want your dreams so badly, you can't let anything get in your way, not even these recent changes that will occur to the exam in May 2021. Just a little bit more difficulty in your lives is not going to discourage you at all, because I know you have ruthless ambition and razor-sharp CISSP instincts. Just to get the job done, whether in March, in April, or May, or beyond. As I usually state, nobody in this group is going to help you except you. You are the best resource that you're going to have. And I'll tell you the truth about these exam changes. Nothing drastic is going to change. Not since when the exam changed from 250 questions to the CAT style, or condensing the 8 domains or the 10 domains to the 8 domains, or the last exam update in 2018. The same questions always come up from future CISSPs. New books or no? Can I study the old books? Is the exam focus going to shift? Should I wait or take it later? So by the end of this video, I hope you feel a lot better and comfortable to march forward and take the exam equipped with the newfound knowledge. And again, there's not a lot of changes. We'll explain all that as we progress along. Okay, so if Prabh and Prashant give me the green light, we can begin.
Oh, Prashant, you there?
Yep. We can go ahead.
Okay. Can we still use our old CISSP books? The answer is yes. 100% you can, and you should, even if you also buy the newer books. I'll explain that statement later on. Just look at all these CISSP books. Some of these are 500 to 1,000 pages long. I'm sure everyone is more than familiar with all these books. Let me ask you this, especially that orange one, right, guys? You guys know what that orange one is, right? Right. Let me ask you this: what industry or certification have you seen where books this large, this voluminous, have been written? Then in 1 or 3 years, those books were completely obsolete and new ones are written for a completely new exam. None that I can think of. I was studying for my CCNA last year, and I was still using the old CCNA books from 2014 to learn and refresh myself about OSPF, BGP, and routing in general. Those kinds of things suddenly don't just drastically change. So for the CISSP exam, let me show you something else, some hard evidence of what we're talking about with this question of using old CISSP books. Everybody likes evidence when proving a point, right? I mean, without some sort of hard, undeniable evidence in this webinar, then we're just some guys expressing their opinion. We're just some guy making a CISSP video with absolutely no evidence of what we're talking about. And that's not going to fly with you guys. The triumvirate has to prove ourselves, and we can't just go by our names alone. We're going to show you some facts to better help you make a judgment on what to do for the May 2021 exam. And we're going to do that by using a comparison of 3 different CISSP books, all written years apart from each other, and during a time when the CISSP exam has undergone multiple changes. We're going to look at the Sean Harris 3rd edition, the Sean Harris 7th edition, and the Sean Harris 8th edition. I hope to show you through these books that any changes to the CISSP books are slight, if there are any, over these years. This is the 3rd edition Sean Harris book. Right now, we are on the 8th edition. So this book is from the year 2005. That's how many years ago? Let's see. My math is not my strongest skill, so bear with me here. It's 2021 now, and this book is from 2005. I have trouble subtracting from odd numbers, so I'll just pretend it's 2020 still. So 2020 minus 2005, that's 15, and then add one more, and for 2020, 16 years. This book is 16 years old. Can you guys confirm my math? That's correct, right? It's very difficult for me. Very difficult.
That's correct.
Quantitative risk. This is something you
Gotcha.
quantitative risk. Yeah.
Gotcha. I think I need a calculator, but I'm glad you guys are here. So check out this process about developing a business continuity plan from the 3rd edition Sean Harris All-in-One CISSP book. It has 7 blocks filled with quick bullet points on some of the components of each step of the BCP DRP plan. Standard stuff, right? We start with a plan statement, continue to the business impact analysis, then identify recovery controls, then move to test the BCP DRP plan, and then finally maintain the BCP DRP. These are the general steps of the BCP DRP in any book. I always get the question from members about what are the official steps of the BCP DRP or the SDLC or change management or configuration management. And the answer is there are no official steps. Just get to know the general steps and you'll be fine. Okay. Everyone sees this image and absorbed it into their memory, right? Just like you're absorbing everything else into your memory while studying. 7 boxes, 7 general steps of the BCP DRP in the all-in-one Sean Harris 3rd edition book from 16 years ago. Now let's take a look to see if the same image exists on the 7th edition of the Sean Harris book. Now we're leaping past 4 previous editions. This is the 7th edition. And take a look. Same image. Same text just about, right? It's the same thing. The 3rd edition and the 7th edition have no general or drastic differences. And these 2 books are 4 editions apart within a span of around a decade. I mean, the first block says continuity plan statement in the previous 3rd edition. And on the 7th edition, it says continuation policy. That's pretty much it. Very slight, almost unnoticeable change. These changes aren't going to rock the very foundation of the CISSP exam in May 2021. It's just not. So at this point, what do you think is going to happen when we look at the 8th edition? 8th edition book. The same graphic exists through all 3 books. If you really notice, there aren't really any differences. You will find more things that are the same than those that are different. So in conclusion, to everyone who's wondering, can you use the old books? Feel free to use your old CISSP books. They are still relevant. I mean, I'm reading a investment book written in the 1970s, and it still holds the same concepts of how to invest today. And this isn't just some book that I'm reading. This is a book that the greatest disciple of this book was Warren Buffett, the billionaire investor. Aside from some notables about how inflation should offset purchasing bonds versus continuing to invest in common stocks, this book is pretty solid for investing even today. And I'll get to why I'm even talking about this. Here's what must be understood, and this will help you for the exam as well. Concepts and fundamental knowledge do not change quickly. Methods and strategies for business continuity and disaster recovery is not going to suddenly and drastically change every 3 years, which, by the way, every 3 years is when the CISSP exam is updated. So if the new changes are this year in 2021, and the next changes are, math. So if it's the year 2021 and the changes are every 3 years, let's see, I'm going to pretend it's 2020, add 3, 2023 plus 1, 2024. The next changes are in 2024, if you guys can verify my math one more time. Pretty sure that's right. So,
That's correct.
Okay, good. Great. 2024. I think I got that right. So the fundamental concepts of BCP DRP, software development lifecycle, incident response, data classification, network security, they're not going to change to a completely different way of doing things every 3 years. Personally, if they did, Prabh and I and Prashant would be out of business. We would have to redo everything. So it's not going to happen. It didn't happen.
I would like to add here one more important thing.
Sure.
When it comes to BCP and risk management. Even today, the CBK 4th edition of Adam, CBK 4th edition Green Book, they have a fifth edition also, which is a CBK. But still, that CBK 4th edition of 2015, still it is used for a 2018 to 2021 syllabus. So by end of the day, BCP risk management is a common topic which is testable from last 12 years. So it doesn't matter, version is changed, but by end of the day, the base of CISSP, which is called as a security and risk management, and BCP, which is driven by the CIA, it is always there in the exam, no matter they change anything. And they found the content of CBK 4th edition is better than 5th edition, or even the CIBEX. And I have seen people who cleared the exam even based on 4th edition, which is published in 2015, 2016.
I'll definitely thank you. That was awesome, Prabh. Great insight. I'll agree with you there. I like the 4th edition better than the 5th edition for sure. So if as Prabh said, these things stay the same. If they changed, it would make this investing book useless too. And let me explain that, because the stock market heavily depends on the stability of the big tech companies. The Dow Jones, S&P 500 are reflected of big tech like Apple and Microsoft and Google. If the security concepts that we're studying and the security concept of those tech companies changed every 3 years, then they're going to have to spend a lot of money internally, not to mention the risk of continuously changing their security infrastructure and posture. They may not bring in as much revenue as they do now. Their stock will go down, and the stock market itself will retreat back thousands of points. Big changes in big tech that cost money to accomplish could make the stock market as a whole fall back, because companies and their value and their stock price are driven by not only their earnings, but also the money they have to spend on operating expenses. And if there are big security changes every 3 years, then these companies are going to be spending more and bringing in less revenue. This will in turn have an impact on the US and global stock market. It's all a long-about way to say that you can still use your old CISSP books. The US economy actually demands, in a way, in a deep level, that CISSP exam concepts remain the same, with any changes being slight. It's just more cost-effective that way. The evolution of security, technology, and conducting business does not change slowly. It takes decades, even generations, to the point that if you want to notice a change, you'll have to either be just born or on the verge of retiring. Sure, the technology that we're learning about today is not going to be the security that our kids will learn, but the underlying fundamental will most likely stay the same. And it is those pieces of fundamental security knowledge which we have to learn for the CISSP exam, because those concepts are not going to change. feel free to use your current books. But, make sure they're not from, 3 editions back or something like that. At least try to be current with the latest editions of each book. And Prabh pointed out the other day, the new books aren't even available, right, Prabh?
Actually, this is what the comparison in 2015, in 2018, when the syllabus was changed, the book was actually introduced in 2019. So I'm not sure, like, if there's a change in the syllabus, like we have a change in the syllabus from 2021 May, we are expecting the books to be arrive, I believe by August or September. This is what pattern we have seen in past 10 years. So I'm sure the old book like Cybex or Instructor Edition or CBK will still be valid.
Yeah, otherwise there'll be a rush for all these authors to release it before May. I don't see any kind of rush. It's still the same.
No, you can see now in 2018 when the syllabus was changed, still people were using the CBK 4th edition for the 6 months or 7 months. And the CBK 5th edition was introduced in 2019. So even after 1 year of the launch, the book was there, but from the IC Square. The Cybex was already launched. So I'm expecting, like, this is what I seen the pattern from last 10 years. So I believe this is the same pattern we can see this year also. So still the old book will still valid, I believe.
Wow, 10 years you've been doing this, Prab? Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. 10 years of knowledge right there. Let's take a look at the next most common question, which we kind of already just went over. Do we have to buy the new books whenever they come out? Because we don't want to tell you how to spend your money, this is a personal decision. But I think most people would be better off with the new books if they can afford to get them. I mean, these books aren't cheap. The Cybex, the Sean Harris, I think they break like $40 or $50 or something like that. It's a lot of money. I don't care what part of the world you live in. You could be a wealthy businessman from Singapore or a system administrator from Bangalore or a full-time developer in Paris. $50 is a lot of money for an information security book. If you can afford it, go for it. Otherwise, you should be okay with the old books, as we just said. But let us give you some pros and cons of each, and you can decide. Some pros. Reading the old books, even after you buy the new books, is a good way to see how the old things were done and how the new way is currently being done. Observing the evolution of a technology as it overtakes each of its advancements of its predecessors is a fantastic learning tool. That's the reason why the cryptography chapter of Domain 3, Security Engineering, goes into the history of cryptography. Caesar cipher, Cytail cipher, one-time pad, Alan Turing, World War II stuff. It's important to understand the history of cryptography in order to understand the future of it with topics like quantum computing or artificial intelligence. Right. To understand the new CISSP exam topics, it really helps to know the old topics. That's also really the mark of a security professional. If you know the current trend, but also if you know why the current trend is the current trend and why it's no longer the older trend. Okay, if you have your old books and the new editions of them, read them both. Just to see how they compare. Just to note the differences. It's a good thing. Another good thing about using our old books is that suppose we have the 8th edition Sean Harris book, right? That's in your possession. And after the start of the new exam, the 9th edition comes out in a few months and it talks about how it will address all the new topics. And you're like, well, gee, all I have is the 8th edition and my financial situation isn't really making it possible for me to buy the 9th edition, or where I live, the book isn't even supposed to be released yet. In this situation, what it does to make the future certified information systems security professional do is become more resourceful. And trust me, as a security professional, your organization is not going to spend money on what you want all the time. You are going to have to be resourceful at some point. And in turn, if you save the company money, the organization may even reward you for being resourceful. So if you have the old books and are unable to get the new books, you are now armed with two things. the old books and the knowledge that there are new topics in the new book, even though you don't have the new book in your possession. Prashant, do you want to go into how to be more resourceful with the CISSP just to make sure that what you can do if you don't have the books?
Absolutely. Thank you, Luke. So it is very important because right now we don't know, we might not have an insight from where we have to pick up the topics because they are not covered into CyBEX or Sean Harris or CBK. Where exactly we're going to pick it up? So number one, internet is the wonderful resource. Whatever the topic, first of all, try to download the examination outline to identify what is the delta, what is the change that we're going to expect in 2021. Have an underlying topic, and probably we're going to share the presentation later on, the recording of it, and you would be able to have a complete list of the delta that we have figured out. Try to pick up the topics and try to do a bit of research on internet. It is going to be really useful to look out for the references from NIST, because NIST normally publishes the various special publications on, let's say, zero trust or privacy by design or something like that. Another thing is going to come really handy is your experience. A lot of organizations are shifting towards these latest technologies which are being included in the CISSP 2021. So for example, containers. Most of the organizations are moving towards the operating system virtualization, which is containers. So in case someone has a real hands-on practice on identifying the security issues related to containers, that will be really resourceful. Or try to find out the free matrices like a CSA Cloud Security Alliance version 4 has a complete insight on containers. Or be like zero trust architecture. Zero trust has been a new buzzword, although it has been into the industry for more than a decade now, but you can easily find out a complete special publication from NIST. And there are various white papers which have been published by multiple organizations on zero trust. So we have the knowledge in abundance everywhere. We just have to pick the right one which suits best for us. Just like find out any kind of a video on YouTube. A lot of people might not be able to have an interpretation by reading the things. They would understand much better in an audio and visual way. So YouTube is a best friend. So we have plenty of resources around. Pick up the topic, try to search on the internet, and you will be given multiple resources. Because like we always know, we need to understand CISSP at a very high level, right? What exactly we need to understand from a management perspective. So understanding the basics would be just good enough to get a context of what exactly could be relevant from the examination perspective.
I would like to add one point here. Like, there is a lot of hype regarding, shall we go for the exam after May and all that. You will be surprised to know that if you go by the domain 1 of the new syllabus, there's no change. If you actually review the course outline, there is no change in the domain 1. So actually, Luke and Prashant, I personally believe the major changes happen in the domain 3, okay, and some part of a domain 7, which is part of your next slide. So, and always remember one thing, security and risk management is a driving factor for any CISSP exam. If you talk about CISSP, SSLP, which I personally experience, or ISSP exam, security and risk management is always a base for all the domains. So if you can see the domain 1 itself, there's no change. There's no change in the domain 1. So you can able to relate the logic. Now, question is why IC square change the syllabus? Definitely, as a part of code of ethics. If you apply code of ethics or canon of IC square, the fourth canon we say that the person must be up to date with the new knowledge, right, Prashant, Luke? The fourth
Absolutely.
canon of the IC square say that the person must be up to date with the new topics, and for that reason only IC square has updated the course outline, because they have to. Now, after COVID, people are working from home. There's no respect for privacy. There's no respect of compliance. Definitely, BCP will be the testable topic, because that post-COVID impact going to be assessed by the security consultant, and that will be testable in the CISSP exam. So this is how the CISSP exam basically tests your thought process, tests your risk advisory skills, and all that. So I personally believe there is a hype we just created, and based on that, we just driving all these, elements and everything. Over to you guys.
You guys heard that, right? Prabh said, and we've looked over the syllabus. Our only resource to know what are the new topics is only provided by the ISU squared syllabus. There's not really anything else because that's all we really have to go by. No major changes in domain one. And domain one is the most important domain because everything done in domain one, the policies, the standards, the baselines, the procedures, all of these dictate how the rest of the domains will go. So and that's a great thing that there's no changes in domain one because that means the fundamentals haven't changed. And you guys heard what Prashant said, right? That was very, very insightful in that if there's a new topic that's called containerization, don't spend your whole day trying to learn about containerization when the real knowledge comes from knowing the high level methods of applying and using containerization, the risk involved, the countermeasures, the vulnerabilities. That's what you're supposed to really learn. You got guys like me, Prabh, Prashant, Thor, Wentz Wu, Joe Barnes, and others who are always scouring the web or anything else to see and figure out what the new CISSP topics are. And I've said it before, there has never been a better time to pass your CISSP exam than now. There are more books, more practice questions, more CISSP instructors around to help you. And I'll keep it real with all of you too. Yeah, we do it to keep everyone informed, but as CISSP instructors, sometimes we also want to be the first to give it to you. Plain and simple. You can call it greed, pride, honor. It's trying to be the first to get it out there, with trying to be the first to market. And I think sometimes that's when we make an error and hype it up so much, as Prabh said, that everyone expects these grand changes when you actually look at it, it's not that much. I find myself doing that too. But over the years, doing the CISSP thing, I found it's just best to wait until all the information is out instead of just pushing out the preliminary information. You, as a future CISSP, will find the information on the new CISSP topics even without buying the new edition book. You will find it due to your own ingenuity and resourcefulness because you aren't leaving anything to chance. You aren't leaving any stone unturned on your journey to pass this high level and expensive exam. Okay? So even if you're unable to buy the new edition books, you should be okay with the old one, given that it's not really old editions quite yet. And any new topic you want to learn more about, people like us will provide the information over the internet over the course of time. Trust us. And for cons, can't really think of any cons except for fear of missing out. If you have the type of personality that just has to know everything, or know that you just can't take it if you don't get the new books, then by all means, get the new book when it comes out. Don't put on added stress to an already stressful time. If you're going to be crushed under the weight of your own curiosity, get the new book. Don't do that to yourself. All right, that parlays into our next question, which is probably why everyone's attending this webinar. What are the new topics of the 2021 CISSP exam? If you cannot afford to buy the new books, then Prabh, Prashant, and I will always be here to provide you the topics as we learn them. But as for now, these are the ones that we have seen. And we're not going to go over all of them because, again, we don't know everything about them. And this webinar would take 8 hours to go through everything. But here's just a good section that you can screenshot, or we'll provide the list. Prashant talked about containerization. Some of the very new topics that pops out right away are something called serverless. No idea what that means. I got to learn it. Containerization. No idea what that means to me. I got to learn it. Prashant might have more insight. Zero trust. Privacy by design. Cloud access security broker. I think that's what it's called. CISSP. There are some things you might see here that you've said, hey, I've been through my books. I know what that is. And that's fine because scanning the 2018 syllabus and the 2019 syllabus, I noticed that some things were on the old syllabus that are not on the new syllabus, or some things were not on the old syllabus but are now in the new syllabus, even though they're in our old books. Which means that there is now more emphasis on those topics now. They may have been lower emphasis topics before, but now they have more emphasis. Now you got to know more about compliance checks. Now you have to know more about risk-based access control or more about continuous delivery. These are all customer revenue-oriented processes and topics. Well, Prabh's going to post this webinar on YouTube, and maybe in the bottom of the description. What do you say on YouTube? The link is in text is in the description, or smash that plus, or smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, smash. Everybody wants us to smash every button these days. Anything for a hit, anything for a like, a comment, a follow. Whatever happened to a handshake? Either way, we'll post these. We'll probably post the list in the description of the new topics if you guys need it. Do you guys have anything to add about the new topics at all?
Prashant?
No, I think it is wonderful. It might look, honestly, it might look a lot, but it isn't. You would see like the convergence protocol, like fiber channel over Ethernet or ISCSI or VoIP. These all are the topics which have already been discussed in CyberX, I guess, from 2015. It's just they are now being tested, or probably they will be included as per the new examination outline. Okay, so you have already have like SAST, static application security testing, DAST, or software defined security, or impact of acquired software. These are the topics which have already been there in your textbooks, right? So just they have been included in your new examination outline. It is not a much of a change, so it might look like more in terms of a quantity. It is just not, honestly, it is not a bigger of a change. So you guys can just need to just get rid of that fear in case if you have any.
What do you guys think is the thinking of the ISC squared in adding topics that were already there, but they're not in the textbook or the syllabus? Basically, what I'm asking is, what do you guys think that why are there some topics that no matter how much you study, you're never going to see, or why the switch around the topics even though they're old and new topics? You have any insight into that? I think there's high level discussions going on where they make one small change and then they call that a giant change as it echoes through all the rest of the exams. I don't know why.
Right. Yes, it's true.
Right.
And I got some kind of an insight, just the way they are not testing the Orange Book or ITSec. These are the topics
Yeah.
which have been made obsolete.
Yeah.
Eventually, they might even like, so DES is something, is no one uses it. It's important to know the foundational concept of DES, because it was one of the first algorithms from modern cryptography. So yes, we might need to know, but again, who knows? They might not test on these things in future. So because it is important, and like we know that IEC square code of ethics says that advance and protect the knowledge. Okay, so it is very important that we keep on ourselves onto the edge of the knowledge, making sure that we learn everything, because technology is ever evolving and it is evolving as we speak. So we need to make sure that we learn the new stuff which is coming in and take the foundational knowledge from something which has been a historical part of it.
I would
Solid.
like to add here the point, an example like the new syllabus, what we have, LiFi. I don't know how many of you are aware about this topic, LiFi. LiFi is basically a new concept of wireless connections. It is the extension of the Wi-Fi. So this is the example. Like right now we are talking about more internet. We're talking about the internet services now available at every house. In every house, the internet is there. But now today, 99% services are driving on the internet, and we are expecting a good number of speed. But there are it come with several security elements and everything. So LiFi is basically the extension of Wi-Fi, and that's why the IC square expecting that okay, the person must be good in the understanding of the LiFi and their associated security. So this is how things are coming. Now, let's take another example of Orange Book. Now, Orange Book is limited to the US, but common criteria is globally accepted standard, right? Come on, a country from India, or country, if you're talking about India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, or Europe, anything, they will not going to accept any product which is certified by any other country's US military standard or any military standards. So the emerging of kind of a standard which is on global level, like common criteria and other things, definitely that will be testable in the exam, because now the CISSP has changing the mindset from not from a US centric standard but more from a global perspective. That is why they are now talking about the CSA, which is a European parameter, then GDPR, again Europe. If they are, definitely they're going to ask the CCPA, which is the California Privacy Act. But now what I understood, the parameter, the pattern of CISSP, it's now become more like a global centric instead of only US centric. That is why now you can see the topics are more like a global level topics, not a US centric and all that. This is my observation regarding the Orange Book and common criteria. Correct me if I'm wrong, Luke.
No, that's absolutely right. We always get asked, do we have to know the U.S. laws? Do we have to know the U.S. standards? And the answer is, the CISP is an international exam, so U.S. laws are not going to apply everywhere else. The only thing important to learn is why those laws are created, for what purpose, and for what security check it's trying to solve and prevent. Just to add on LiFi, Zigbee, if anybody is wondering, is a personal area network wireless network. It can be used for the Internet of Things. So that's a protocol. The Internet of Things can use the internet, but if you have a personal area network, the protocol to use is Zigbee. So that's what Zigbee is. And that was in the old book. This isn't a new topic. I know that because I made a video on it. So I specifically remember Zigbee because, first of all, it's fun to say Zigbee, and I know it's an old name. It's not new, but it's in the syllabus now. It wasn't in the 2018 syllabus, but it's in the 2019 syllabus, even though it's an old topic. So you got things like this going on, being confusing, and people think there's going to be a lot of changes, but it's not. The one that I am really excited to learn about is breach attack simulations, which means what do you do from beginning to end? So that's incident. I'm thinking that's hardcore incident response right there. What to do in an event of ransomware from beginning to end. After everybody's good with the screen, I'm going to go on to the next question. Is it a completely different exam? The short answer is no. It is the CAT exam still, the computer adaptive test, for which you have 3 hours and probably a maximum of 150 questions. You can go all the way up to 150 questions, but if the CAT algorithm determines you have shown what it takes to be a CISP, it may even stop you at 100. Your user experience may vary, of course. And another question is, will the exam be more technical? A question that many are painfully wishing is a solid no. Is the new May 2021 exam going to be more technical than high level? The answer is we don't know. Nobody knows the contents of the real CISP exam, and even if they do, they're not allowed to talk about it due to the NDA. So if you hear anyone talking about the details of the exam and what questions or what type of questions are on there, then be your high grade, full of integrity, security professional self and extract yourself out of that conversation and change the subject. Or if you do what I do, just tell them this discussion should not be taking place. Don't allow your integrity to waver for even a second, no matter the circumstances. We are security professionals. We can't give in even a little bit. Not even an edge of complacency when it comes to our integrity. Because if we do that, then it's all over. Then you can't trust anyone anymore, and we'll just live in a world where we're suspicious of everyone. You can make a difference just by maintaining your integrity, and sooner or later, someone is going to see that you are a professional, and they'll want to be just like you. Someone honest, vigilant, unwavering in their commitment to this profession. And sooner or later, the whole world will be filled with nothing but professionals. So, is the new exam going to be more technical than the high level? I'll just say this. The syllabus has shown more technical topics to understand. That is for sure. Things like Kerberos exploitation, containerization, pass the hash, all the technical elements are there. But does that mean the new exam is going to be all around more technical? The ISC squared still calls the CISSP a certification for security practitioners, managers, and executives. That's a direct quote from their website. It doesn't say anything about the exam for network security engineers, security architects, or software programmers. It's a high-level exam. And I'll say one more thing. You will have to know the technical knowledge, especially from Domain 4 network security. Not that you will not get specifically tested on the minutia of technology, but you may need to understand the technology in the context of the question to choose the correct answer. Like someone's talking about OSPF. Oh, that's a bad idea. That's not a good example. If someone's talking about VLANs, if the question is talking about VLANs, you got to know what a VLAN is to even understand the question, much less the choices. You see what I'm saying? You need to know the technical terminology in order to choose the high-level answer. Okay. Let's take a look at the next question, which is reschedule or take the exam. This requires a thorough understanding of not just where you are as far as your studies, but where you are at in your life. Let's take a look at each month as we run up to May, and we can just break down some ways to come up with your decision to take the exam soon or delay it in May. March checklist. And this is really the time that a hard and confident decision has to be made on your part. You are either going to take it soon or you're going to wait until after May. There are no other choices. But here are just some of our checks to see if you should take it before the new exam or later. You have read the CyBEX 3 times cover to cover. You've read the Sean Harris 1 time cover to cover. Excuse me. You have taken a minimum of 3,000 to 5,000 practice questions. You have an extensive resource of PDF notes, most notably the Memory Palace. And you've watched a minimum of 40 hours of CISSP videos. Do you guys have anything to add in more to this checklist?
Yeah, the COTS. There's two videos. If you guys are planning to write this exam or in a month of March or April, I would recommend you to review my 2 videos which I created on COTS. One on the COTS topic, and one is COTS question. It is highly recommended. It's not about I'm doing my self-endorsement of the video, but I got a very good feedback about the responses of the videos, the participant who wrote the exam. So SOC type and COTS and COTS questions. These 3 videos you must review before going for your exam. Definitely, it will save your $700.
Yeah, definitely. Don't take a expensive practice exam, which is what happens if you fail the first time.
No, if you're taking the Larry Think Like a Manager question bank week before the exam, you're doing that, you will save your $700, I'm sure, because that book will basically going to change the mindset how to think like a manager in a real exam.
Larry Greenblatt, let's just give him a good shout out.
Yeah, another, and Larry Greenblatt. These 2 video, the Larry Greenblatt video is also very important because that video is giving you the idea about how to eliminate the options and all that. And week before the exam, Think Like a Manager, Luke Hammett book.
Did you mean Kelly or Larry earlier, Prabh?
Both actually, Kelly and Larry videos.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. And of course, if you're tired, exhausted, and just ready to do this, just take it in March.
But one thing I would like to add here is I have a couple of folks who don't even read the book. They just went through the sessions and Prashant Mohan Memory Palace and Leo Kamet Think Like a Manager, and they still cleared the exam in a month. So the Think Like a Manager and Prashant Memory Palace is I found the better than the actual book of Cybex or whatever. It was to the point. This is the feedback I am talking about. So I really appreciate Prashant for his work toward the Memory Palace.
Me too.
Thank you.
And given all that, a lot of good experience required beforehand, to take on the exam and getting your due diligence as well.
True.
In the month of April, it's the same as March, but this is with more intensity. Everything that I listed in March, you have to do that, but with much more intensity if you want to take it in April. Let me say this. If your whole life for the last few months, from waking moment to sleeping late at night, if the CISSP has been your entire life for months, then book that exam before May and don't waste all that effort. Just do it. If you feel like you're halfway done and you could use some more practice questions to boost yourself from 3,000 questions to at least 5,000, hold off on the exam. Take it after May. This way you can account for all the new topics while also studying the topics you still have not gotten to yet. And in May, it's showtime. It's 0 hour, crossing the Rubicon. You got to take the exam. But instead of us telling you what to do, I'll just, Prashant and Prabh, if you guys had not taken the exam and you were in, and it's now March, what would you guys do at this point? And you've done everything you can. What would you do? Would you wait for the new exam, or would you take it right away?
Prashant.
Can I go first? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Thank you.
please.
Well, honestly, there are a lot of things, and it's a lot of things that happens psychologically as well. What is something that I'm gonna get new in May 1st, right? And I'm a kind of a person personally who do not like a lot of change happening around my life. So I would say that if I've spent quality of amount of time in learning things, taking a lot of practice questions, identifying where I'm actually lacking, because what all are my weak areas that needs to be refreshed and done all the recommended things that people do or they suggest. I'm not going to wait till May 1st just to take my call. I'm going to do it well before May 1st uh, and give it my shot.
Prabh, what about you?
I personally feel that this is just a reason we are giving or not giving this exam. Example, like if a person is preparing from last 1 year, I don't know what he going to bring change after introducing of a new syllabus, to be frank. Correct me if I'm wrong, Prashant, Luke. If I'm preparing from last 6 months and I'm just giving a reason to myself that, okay, yes, in May, the exam going to be changed, and after that, I'm going to do, I don't think so it will have any much impact. So
Hey,
if you
Prabh,
ask me,
you
I'm
nailed
preparing,
it.
so I will go for Apple. I will take a risk because I spent my 6 to 7 months. Why should I basically going to reevaluate all the topics again and then I will, going to write in the month of May?
You
It's just
nailed
simple.
the psychological impact and questions on that one. I'm sorry to interrupt. You nailed the psychological impact on that. It's just another excuse, right? Just another excuse to put this off and not take it at all.
True. I personally feel 40 days, a concrete plan is enough. Start with the CyberX or CBK, whatever you have so far. Today is also 19 February. If you even book the exam for the April 25, 26, whatever, okay, from today onwards, make you use CyberX, then cover the destination certification videos, think like a manager, week before the exam, memory palace, to the point, cut to cut. Every day 2 hour, that is enough. But problem is that we heard from someone, yes, I spent my 6 months, 7 months. That basically creates some kind of fear. Okay, this guy has spent 6 months, so I have to spend my 6 months. Everyone has their own way of preparation. So that is the thing. So it is my suggestion. If I am there, I'm definitely going to write this exam before exam change. Over to you, Lee.
Golden insight, Prabh. Golden insight. That shows Prob's experience in the CISSP game. He's seen it all. He has seen and answered it all. You guys want to go over some CISSP practice questions? Everybody loves doing that, right? Can't get enough practice questions. Let's go over this one. I'll do one, and then Prashant, how about you do one right after that? We'll make it quick. We've already at 54 minutes here. I don't want to keep people too long.
Sure.
Okay. Which choice encompasses the ability to reduce the time a malicious insider has to gain access to privileged accounts? Is it timed privilege elevation? Is it brokered access? Is it on-demand accounts? Or is it just-in-time access? What is the answer? What is the answer to this CISSP practice question?
Need a response to the chat box. Great. Did you leak this question?
No, I created this. I created this question, and I did post it on Facebook a couple of months back. Everybody's saying Delta.
Yep.
That's fine. That means people have been listening and know what they're talking about. That actually makes me happy that everybody got it right. The correct answer is D. Just-in-time access encompasses all the other choices. Choice A, B, and C are forms of just-in-time access. And just coincidentally, just-in-time access is also a new topic in the May 2021 ISC Squared CISSP exam. It is our obligation as CISSP instructors to provide a practice question regarding the new edition. What is JIT? It's elevating the access privileges of a user for a specific period of time. As in, you don't get the access to the file server all the time. You only get it when you need it. It's a pretty neat idea. Say a client dropped a file for you on the network, shared location, and you needed to retrieve it. With regular standing access, you can access it anytime. Right. The downside is if your computer is compromised, the attacker can access it anytime as well. With just-in-time access, an attacker would have to specifically carry out a lateral move to the file server after compromise, and for example, only between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. A compromise is still possible, but wow, it reduces the chances greatly. I find it an amazing security procedure, and that you only get access for the amount of time that you need it for, not all the time. It seems obvious now, but we haven't been doing that for the last 10 years. Information security innovators are so smart. I'm so proud to be in this industry around such brilliance. For timed privilege elevation, it is a form of just-in-time access, which increases a user's privileges and rights for a given time, and removed when that time is over. Say you'll get the files from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. I said that in the original just-in-time access explanation, but this is the specific form, the application of that time between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. For choice B, brokered access means a middleman or a middle interface, like a server vault, provides access to the user after a business justification is provided. So not only are you on a time limit to access a resource, you also have to provide a reason for accessing it. Pretty awesome. We're capable of solutions to every problem, it seems like. And for choice C, on-demand accounts, user accounts are specifically provisioned to access a resource and then terminated or deprovisioned forever. In our current day, the idea is you create a user account, and that user account is open forever until the user leaves the company, until there's a deprovisioning or termination process. But with choice C, it is a temporary provisioning. An elegant solution for a more advanced age. Is there any questions or anything? Prashant, do you wanna do your practice question? We got one more.
Sure. Yep. We can
Okay.
we can do that.
Let's just fly through.
All right. So I'm gonna read the question out for you. Which of the following options is not a characteristic of zero trust architecture? Option A, ensuring granular and advanced access control is implemented. Option B, Microsegmentation of the network to increase security through obfuscation techniques limits the blast radius of the attack and aids in faster incident response and remediation. Option C, employees who are working from home who are accessing organization's network should authenticate using network access control, that is NAC. And option D, components of zero trust includes user application authentication, device authentication, and trust. So you might want to give it a shot, because considering zero trust is absolutely a new topic, and fundamentally I'm going to explain with the reasoning as well that why do we think one particular option is correct and why the rest options are not correct. And it is totally perfect in case if you're not going to get in the first go. See, I read this in one of the study experiences, and I think it was in the Luke side, that each and every wrong answer is going to make you closer to the right one. So the right choice for this is option C. So the fundamental concept of zero trust is you do not trust, right? Because in order to make sure that a successful zero trust is implemented, you not only validate or authenticate the external users, but also the internal users. Well, let's go one by one options. What are the options we have? Option A, ensuring granular and advanced access control is implemented, making sure each and every devices, users, and each and every services which are being used in the organization, they are properly authenticated. So you must have heard about or probably read in CISSP, which is attribute-based access control, right? This is one of the common implementation in your zero trust, along with various other access control models like role-based access control. Option B, microsegmentation. The traditional networking that we used to have, it used to make sure that they have the firewalls, then they have multiple other, like you have then DMZ and then internal network. However, with the help of microsegmentation, after each and every layers within the organization, any kind of a service or application is authenticated, just to make sure that we do not have a complete or a flat network once anyone gets inside. Let's take an option D first, and then we're going to understand why option C is not correct. Sorry, option C is not a characteristic of a zero trust. So zero trust includes the components your user and application authentication, device authentication, and the trust. So the traditional way of saying as trust but verify no longer exists. There is no longer your perimeter security control. And that is the reason option C is not one of the characteristics of his zero trust. Considering the device authentication is needed in your zero trust, NAC will definitely be used, or probably it can be incorporated in your zero trust, but does not fulfill the requirement, considering it does not authenticate the devices due to the distance, because you have your devices either inside into the core network, or probably people are going to access it from remote. So the fundamental concept of zero trust, you do not even trust the people accessing through VPNs. And zero trust assumes the malicious actors are within the internal network as well. So that is the reason your option C is the correct choice here.
Awesome explanation.
Excellent explanation.
I learned a lot on that one. That's it. Zero trust architecture, trust but verify, just-in-time access, new CISSP topics, not very big changes. And thank you again, Prabh and Prashant. If there's any Q&A, actually, first, thank you, Prabh and Prashant, and thank you most of all to those who have attended and allowing us to kind of use up some of your precious time. Prabh, are we doing a Q&A and stuff, Prabh?
Yeah, sure. Team, if you have any questions, you can just post your question in the chat box. So, any questions? Okay. Arun has a question. So the exam is going to be going back to 6 hours, no?
Arun, you must you must be thinking that since the I think there was an announcement about the CISSP exam is going to be an experiment that the CISSP exam is going to be taken from home, at home exam, and the CAT exam is not going to be offered. It's going to be the linear 6-hour exam for select people. I think only in the United States. So yeah, the at home test is going to be the 6-hour 250 questions test. But there's a catch. It's 250 questions that you have to answer every single one, and you have 6 hours. I don't know if you guys sat at a table or a chair for 6 hours using your brain, but it is not easy. It is not easy. But and I think you can't even go back at this one. So you really have to focus and use that. So it's only available for remote testing.
It's more like a deterrence control they have applied, right, Luke?
Yes, correct. That way you're not just taking a quick exam and just being done with it. You got to sit there the entire time.
So there's a small summary in new syllabus in domain 1. So any changes are there? No, there's no changes in the domain 1. In domain 2, there's any changes? No, there's no changes in the domain 2. In domain 3, zero trust, privacy by design. And anything is there in domain 3, Luke, you would like to add something, or Prashant?
Well, to answer all those questions, I have a video on YouTube called New CISSP Exam Changes, and I literally go through everything from 2018 syllabus to to the 2021 exam syllabus, like every single line I compare. I don't leave anything out. So if you want to see that on YouTube, we can put it in the link when this is published. It's called New versus Old CISSP Exam Changes, and I go through every detail, and you can just see it there. I don't remember all of it, but as Prabh says, the changes are small and slight, and any glaring ones I do identify in that video.
Great. Prashant, have you updated the content with the new syllabus? Do you wish to add some points here?
Yes, so Memory Palace has been updated with the most recent update of as per May 2021. I'm still to do a few updates there, but yes, so far you can find topics like zero trust is there, privacy by design is there, trust by verify, security by design is there, and you also have SOAR, security orchestration and automation and response.
Great. Look, can we expect one session from you on SOAR, because you are from a SOAR guy?
SOAR?
Yeah.
In the future, yeah, we can maybe review as we get more insight into the new topics. Maybe you can do a session on every single new topic and just go every single one if we need to.
That's great.
Right.
What about you, Prashant? Any? Prashant left.
Yep.
Okay, he's there.
Prabh,
I'm here.
Prabh just hooked me for another video in the future is what he just did in front of all these people that I had to say yes. We could do that. No, we could do that. This is a good time, right, guys? This is a fun time. The three of us just kind of just talking and exchanging ideas. I minimize the window. Is anybody left in the audience, or are we the only ones?
Yeah, it's it. We'll try our best to bring more and more new content, and I will request Luke and Prashant to be available for some alternate Fridays to bring some new topics on a session. So make sure our future students or clients or followers, subscribers will get a new update about CISSP. This is our due care and due diligence.
Prabh is such an executive. He's already thinking ahead.
Okay, Prashant and Luke, do you want like any and note something like that for our aspiring CISSP students?
Okay.
No, Prashant, go ahead, please. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead. Sure. Thank you. So I'm just gonna add one thing or to summarize in the end. If you think, and honestly, you might not have this kind of a sense that you are prepared or not, but yes, if you have taken note on the checklist that Luke was sharing earlier, if you meet that criteria, please do not wait for May to happen. Okay. And in case if you're just starting it, May the 4th be with you.
And I am confident anybody who attended this webinar, or anybody watching this on YouTube, or anybody who is talking to Prabh, me, or Prashant at any point, if you touched any of those things, you will pass the CISSP exam.
That's great. And week before the exam, 3 resources. Make sure it is part of your list. Luke Emmett, Think Like a Manager. Second is Larry Video and Prashant Memory Palace. As I said earlier, I have seen a couple of folks who cleared this exam purely based on the Memory Palace, Think Like a Manager book, and Larry Video and destination certification videos. If you think that okay, you can able to you will be ready for the exam, that will not be there till the last day of exam, until unless that sheet in your hand. So don't wait for the time, okay, I will be at ready and then I will write this exam. It will not work in CISSP. So just believe in yourself and plan your exam before April or after, sorry, before May or after May. It's up to you. But it is a life-changing certification.
That it is.
Yes.
I know after I got it, I'm suddenly on a webinar with these two legends. So it is indeed a life-changing certification.
Okay, team.
Okay.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Prashant.
Thank you all. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
See you next time.
We'll try again with the trial talks on CISSP.
There we
Bye.
go. Take care.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.